Making dinner from scratch does not mean you have to spend hours and hours and hours in your kitchen. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm a busy mama, and most of the time I have a little monkey on my back. And so that means sometimes I need to get in and out of the kitchen as fast as possible to either chase him around or move on to the next task, right? And I didn't just want to create a space where I share these from scratch meals that take hours and hours and make you guys think that that's the only way to feed your family wholesome, nutrient-dense food. Now, I just want to share with you what that looks like for my family. We have agreed probably a while ago that one night a week, whether that's a weeknight, whether that's a weekend or whatever, we're gonna go all out, okay? Maybe we're doing a fun cocktail and mocktail for the girls. Everything for that dinner is from scratch or maybe cooked over an open flame. I've got desserts, we like the candles, we have a beautiful tablescape, and we just really have a fun, fancy dinner one night a week. And I'll be honest, that's a lot of what you guys have been seeing on here, and those do take me quite a bit of time, whether that's hours of prep or just hours in the kitchen. But for most weeknights, I got about a good 15-30 minutes where we need to crank dinner out pretty quickly because we're trying to move on to the next thing. But for the most part, I am trying to look for the easiest way to feed my family healthy, wholesome, nutrient-dense food as fast as possible. And all the mamas raise their hands and say amen. So I thought this week we'd do things a little different. I thought I would share with you guys 3 easy, healthy, from scratch meals you can whip up in about 15 minutes. So whether you find yourself cooking for yourself or you're trying to nourish your family just with intentional, wholesome ingredients that are easy, these 15-minute meals are going to be go-tos in your kitchen. They've been staples for me and my family for years. We're kind of boring sometimes when it comes to what we eat. Because we are eating seasonally, we really just have to work with what we have out in the garden or what the farm has already blessed us with and is in the pantry. And so these are things that we are having on repeat constantly and just changing a little bit based off of what vegetable and protein we have in stock. So come on, let's head into the kitchen. So the first thing we have to do is feed our sourdough starter. While it does not take 15 minutes to bake bread, you guys know that is certainly a process. I know that Otis, my sourdough starter, is the workhorse in my kitchen, and I want to always have bread on hand because I want to be able to add that with any meal. We've got a fun soup that we're doing. We've got some tortillas for an easy taco night. And so for me, making sure I always have ready starter to bake bread is usually always gonna kind of be the base of what I'm cooking. So I'm just gonna go ahead and feed 50 grams of water, 50 grams of flour, and then we'll come back in this afternoon, feed it. We're gonna let our focaccia just rise all night. If you want to know the best bread for beginners, if you're trying to dip your toes into sourdough, check out this video up here. It's gonna walk you through step by step my focaccia, and trust me, you guys, this bread is a staple in our house and it goes with so many meals. So let's feed Otis real quick and then we'll get busy. So soup is one of my favorite 15-minute meals, not only because it is just so forgiving, but you guys, it is so versatile with what you have in season. And it is one of those, like, I feel like I'm hacking the system every time I make soup because it's so nourishing. It tastes so good, right? It's just like the epitome of homemade, but you literally kind of set it and forget it. So I like to cook a lot of soups because it's an easy win. And thankfully my family actually really enjoys it. So I always kind of start the base of this, any soup, with just a good base, which is usually butter, a whole lot of butter or a quality oil. I'm always going to chop up an onion and saute and garlic. So I am doing that just for like the base of my soup before I actually throw it in a crock pot. I'm gonna make this just so easy that I am chunking all of this in a crock pot. Now sometimes I'll do this in a Dutch oven. Sometimes we will go and start a fire and we'll cook it over open flame. But remember, These are easy 15-minute meals, so just in the beauty of doing that, we're just gonna prep the base of our soup, and I'm still running through all of the carrots in our garden, so I am just gonna cut up and saute some carrots with that as well. We've been trying to just use these. In fact, you're probably gonna see these in a lot of other meals that I'm sharing with you guys as well, because they are one of our staple vegetables. So usually when I'm sauteing these up, I'm not really cooking them down all the way because they're gonna be in the crock pot for a long period of time. It's really just to kind of enough to like release the sweetness in the vegetables, and then usually I call it good, maybe get a good little caramel on the onions, but you could certainly, even to the recipe I'm going to share with you today, you could have it done in 15 minutes. I just like to let it simmer. I start this earlier in the day, and I just want it to marinate all day. I will say too, just a fun little hack, the base of anything is where the flavor is gonna take place. So if you're gonna spend a little time on something, I encourage you to spend time on the base of whatever your meal is. It's gonna kind of be the backbone of that whole meal. It's gonna give it its flavor. And so for me, I will skimp in other areas. Maybe I choose a canned bean versus soaking beans overnight, right? Like I'll find different ways to kind of hack the system, if you will, but I'm never gonna skimp on my base because that is where all the flavors are really gonna explode from. So I give myself more time in those areas than some of the other areas. So y'all know I love to prep as much as I can. And so I went ahead and prepped all my veggies first, that way I can just kind of throw it all together. But even if you had some spare time to like prep veggies for the week or meat for the week, you're gonna make this that much easier on you. And if you're wanting to cook wholesome from scratch meals kind of in a pinch and like quickly, that is the way to do it. Maybe on the weekends, you're prepping vegetables, maybe you have one weeknight that you prep all your meat, whatever that looks like. I've just found that saves me a ton. So right now I'm gonna go ahead and kick my cast iron on. I'm gonna do it on low because my range cooks hot, and then just add some avocado oil. All right, next up we are going to add our broth. Now, if you have homemade broth, that is great. Usually we always keep this in stock. We just used up the last of ours, which is a good indication that I need to dedicate a day just to make some more broth. But you could use a veggie stock, a bone broth, any sort of box broth that you have, which is actually what I'm gonna have to use, just a chicken stock that we had kind of bulk just for moments like this, okay? So one, we kind of have the base here, which is all your flavor. Then we're gonna move into kind of the backbone, which is your stock or your broth, and then we can start figuring out what else we kind of have in the pantry or maybe out in the garden. I'm not gonna lie, I'm totally making this up as we go. I know I've got a half a head of cabbage in there, I've got some millet noodles, and I've got some leftover chicken. So this is probably gonna be a smorgasbord, which is the best thing. It's just kind of like, you know, the kitchen sink soup, and most of the time they turn out pretty good. Maybe some.
We'll use those raw.
All right, so I actually thought that I had broth, and when I went to go look in the pantry, I realized I didn't. So I would have made a vegetable stock with all that stuff I just did, but since I've already transferred that over, it doesn't quite work. So I'm just sauteing, browning up some of our mild sausage. It's got a really high fat content. I'm gonna add some butter with it. I'm gonna add some gelatin, and I'm gonna kind of make my own stock. And easier, but we are just going to whip this up real quick, throw it in there. And I'm still trying to figure out what's gonna go in it. I added some chickpeas for some extra protein, but really the beauty about this quick 15-minute meal is it's whatever's in your pantry, whatever's in your fridge, or whatever's growing out into the garden. So you can change this, and I change this all the time based off of what's in season. So there's just so much flexibility in this recipe. So while that is cooking down over there, I wanted to share something super, super fun, okay? You can really take any simple, humble dish and elevate it with the right spices, the right herbs, the right seasonings. And so we love to have quality seasonings, quality oils, all that stuff on hand, because it really can just take something so simple and kind of elevate it to the next level. Well, we grow so much celery here in the fall and the winter. And there's a lot that kind of goes to waste as far as the tops. So this past year, I saved all of the top greens to my celery. I had kind of processed it down and freeze dried it. And that is what you see right here. So a good soup needs a good celery, but I don't have any celery in stock. So actually what I'm gonna do is take a good bit of this. I'm going to pulse it in the food processor with some sea salt and add it in just for added flavor. So you guys, there are so many different kitchen scraps that you can turn into really good seasonings and spices. If you don't have a freeze dryer, you could do it in a low temp oven, you could do it in a dehydrator, but this literally smells so good, and I cannot wait to make a delicious salt out of it that we're gonna add to our soup base. So I am very thankful for past winter Jill when I thought this was gonna be a good idea, because I think this is gonna taste so good. So I added in some freeze-dried kale that we've had from last winter's garden as well. And then we're gonna add the stock. All right, so this is the base. Onions, garlic, carrots, freeze-dried kale, sausage, chickpeas. I'm just gonna let this cook, and then as we get closer, I'm just gonna add my noodles. I'm just using a millet noodle, and this is gonna be a pretty wholesome, from scratch, easy 15-minute meal. Happy afternoon, friends. It is the next day. We are moving on to another easy, healthy, cozy, from scratch 15-minute meal. So this one is my most frequented meal of all time. We have literally been making different variations of this meal for honestly as long as I can remember. I would say we are probably eating it a minimum of 2 nights a week. Probably 3 if I'm being real honest. It has just been such a staple for me and Nate. Honestly, like ever since we have been eating like really clean, really healthy, growing our own vegetables, because it's so versatile. I think back to like those sheet pan meals. We don't make a a lot of those, but this is kind of our version, right? Like, imagine a sheet pan where you're just throwing a whole bunch of veg, some sort of protein, popping it in the oven and forgetting about it. This is kind of our play on this. So I'm gonna brown up some ground pork. We are going to saute some onions, garlic. I've got some cabbage. We're gonna do some carrots. This is just a rustic skillet meal. So use whatever vegetables you have on hand, whatever protein you have on hand. We raise pork, so we have a lot of pork, and we also raise sheep, so we have a lot of ground lamb. So that's typically what we're cooking with, but you could omit this for anything. And as far as the veggies, it's whatever we have preserved in the fridge or whatever we can just walk outside and harvest. So that's gonna change definitely seasonally, but it's so easy. So we're gonna season it up really good in a cast iron. We're going to top it with a fried egg and some fresh kimchi, or maybe some different ferments. This is a great way to just add your ferments in. Call it a rustic skillet meal. Sometimes we will make up some rice. Sometimes we'll do some quinoa at the base of it. Tonight I'm actually gonna be whipping up some quinoa. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that started, and then we'll get ready browning our meat. But you guys, if you're looking for an easy, healthy 15-minute from scratch meal, let this one be your staple. If you hear the baby screaming, you already know I've got my fun little helper in the floor here. So first up, we're just gonna cook up some ground pork. Anytime I'm making some sort of like skillet meal like this, I like to just cook my meat first, because I want all the juices and the fat from that to add flavor to my vegetables. So I love seasonally eating, right? We chat about that quite a bit here, of just taking humble backyard ingredients and really elevating them. And so I love any opportunity really that I can just transition with the seasons, and this easy rustic skillet meal is a great way to do that. It's hot, buddy. So one of my favorite little hacks, if you are making rice, quinoa, any sort of grain for that matter. We had a friend who was culinarily trained in Nepal. And man, there's a lot of tricks in the trade you learned, and thankfully he's so gracious that he has brought those tricks back to us. First of all, I think a lot of us know you probably need to rinse your grains, especially if you're working with quinoa. Otherwise, like, the coating on it can be pretty bitter. So if you've ever tried quinoa and you just don't like the way it tastes, or maybe there's a bitter hint, just make sure that you are rinsing it under cold water. I just used like my fine mesh strainer. But here's the secret sauce, okay? You guys ready for it? With rice or with quinoa, we actually will toast it, and we'll toast it for about 3 to 4 minutes, and it just exposes kind of the natural flavor of that grain. And you guys, it makes the biggest difference. Like, you've never had rice until you have toasted some of it, and same with quinoa. It just like adds kind of this nutty flavor to quinoa, but like a good nutty, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm trying to rinse this really well. I've just got a pot on the stove heating up. I'm gonna toast it, and then I'm gonna add my water, bring it to a boil, and just kind of let it sit. So for these quick and easy meals, I like to go ahead and start the things that are gonna take the longest. So go ahead and get your grain, you know, boiling or simmering or cooking on the stove, whip up your meat, and then you'll just do the easy part, which is kind of assemble. So you could prep a lot of this ahead of time, which you guys know, kind of a queen for that too. Look at that. It's nothing better than shredded cabbage, in my opinion. I just flippin' love it. All right, veggies are prepped. I'm gonna go get the cast iron heating again. I want it piping hot before I toss these onions on here, and I'm about to slather that skillet in some butter. So let's get it popping. It looks like our quinoa is doing all the things that the quinoa needs to be doing. So let's get this started, saute up these vegetables, and you guys, we're gonna be having dinner pretty soon.
That was yummy.
I know.
I'm so glad that you were getting into this cooking thing.
I was just talking about that. My spark has been ignited, and now we want a long, slow burn.
Alright, I'm gonna try to get a little closer.
Do it.
There's that light throwing everything off. There we go.
Need to season it good. I want some coconut aminos.
Man, that looks almost as good as you do.
So we cook a lot with liquid aminos. It's like a healthy soy sauce. We buy it from Thrive Market. But with our like kind of skillet meals, this is probably one of our go-tos. I'll put it in the quinoa too, just to add a little Asian kick. We have our porridge, as some would say. And now's where we just pack it full of protein and flavor. And let me tell you guys, this is packed full of flavor.
I believe it.
It might not look like much, but it is delicious. So for Nate and I've added fried egg. The kids don't really care for that, so I'm gonna put the fried egg. Then we're gonna top with some kimchi. So let me go grab that real quick. Woo. Add some kimchi. Good healthy dose.
Put about 2 of those at least on mine, please.
Yeah. Is that good?
Yes, ma'am.
Come take a little closer look, my friends. While it is not the prettiest dish I've ever made, I can assure you right now, it is dang good.
It's dang good, isn't it?
We eat a variation of this at least 2 to 3 times a week because it is so simple, so easy. Use whatever protein you have on hand, whatever starch you have on hand, and whatever veggies are in season, ferments in the fridge.
That's right. This same combination is good over cubed potatoes. It's good over mashed potatoes. It's good over
all the things.
White rice, everything.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow because we're having tacos. Have I mentioned that soup is one of my all-time favorite? I mean, you can just sip on the broth. It's so versatile, so flexible. We're actually on day 3 of these easy meals, but I will just straight up eat soup for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I didn't end up even adding any noodles to this because it was so hearty on its own that I thought it was fine. We had the protein from the chickpeas. We've got a really solid broth, and then we have all of the sausage and stuff, so it's so good. So good. Okay, getting filled up for the day. While The homemade tacos are gonna be so easy. I am going to make tortillas. Now you could make a sourdough tortilla. That's gonna require a little bit of extra work. So I'm not actually gonna do that at all. We're just gonna whip up a quick tortilla. I actually think I'm gonna stick the dough in the fridge. I have a few other things going on this morning, and then we'll just come back in and knock out these easy homemade tacos. I'd say tacos we do probably every 2 weeks. We should just do a Taco Tuesday, but honestly we don't even think about it. It's just like these are some of our staple go-tos, but everybody loves good tacos. So let's eat a nourishing breakfast and then let's get busy, and we'll check back in here in a bit and make our homemade easy tacos. Okay, so this will be probably the easiest recipe you ever make. These tortillas come in clutch for me all the time. You can make them ahead and pop them in your fridge for quite a while, or you can freeze them. So I really like to figure out like what I can do ahead of time to save myself time. And so this is one of those I can make. We're first just starting with 3 cups of all-purpose flour. Throw that in a bowl. Woo. We're gonna do 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of salt. We're gonna do a 1/3 cup of oil, and then I'm gonna do 1 cup of warm water. So I'll actually just mix those dry ingredients up real quick. This makes about, I don't know, 12 tortillas for me. Woo! I like to give it a little mix in the bowl first, and then y'all already know we're gonna get our hands dirty. We're gonna knead it up a bit. So let's make these. I'm gonna go ahead and make these, pop them in the fridge. Now, while this is an easy 15-minute meal, there's like, that's 15 minutes active time, right? Because these tortilla recipes specifically will need about a 30-minute rest phase. So I just want you guys to know that if you are making this, you are gonna have to allot for some rest time. So let's give it a good stir. Tortillas are just so easy. They're one of the first things I learned to make from scratch. Just because they're so easy. Now that we have our grain mill, I'm really hoping to, we love a corn tortilla over a flour tortilla. So I'm hoping to be able to mill our own and just truly make fresh, authentic, you know, we have a tortilla press and everything. So I would love to be able to try this with some corn that's freshly milled. And really go all out. But of course that would take a little bit more time, so it probably wouldn't be a 15-minute meal. That one might be one of those longer weekend meals, but let's turn it out here. Okay. All right, I'm gonna let this sit for about 30 minutes. Let all that gluten relax. Then we'll come back and start making our tortillas. I just couldn't be on the counter. Huh? Tortillas. So I absolutely love my tortilla press. Nate bought it for me a while ago, and it's nothing fancy, but it just works so well and it's so effective. So you literally just have a sheet of parchment paper. You stick your dough in, close it, press it. I move it around on both sides. Then out comes a beautiful tortilla. So when it comes to making just bomb tortillas, I have found that the trick is a piping, and I mean piping, hot skillet. So we've got, you know, last night's dinner, we got a messy kitchen, all the things, but I've got just this flat cast iron griddle. I get it piping hot, no grease, nothing. Pop it on for about 30-45 seconds each side, and then it is ready to go. So if you've tried to make tortillas before and they're kind of like gummy, you just probably needed your skillet hotter. So while I'm rolling these out, I'm gonna go ahead and get the skillet. I want it to like smoke and everything before I actually put the tortillas on. But I found that little trick makes all the difference. So I did not even get a final video or photo of this night's dinner because, well, life. You guys have heard the background noise. It's a little crazy here, but literally we just sauteed up some ground pork. We had some pickled onions. We did some fresh salsa and some avocado. It was pretty humble, and let me tell you guys, it was delicious. So for me, from scratch cooking has very little to do with seeking perfection. And it has a whole lot to do with bringing intention into my home, creating cozy, nourishing meals that my family can enjoy around the fire or around the table. And I just wanted to share with you guys that it can look this easy. It doesn't have to be polished. It doesn't have to mean hours and hours in the kitchen. It can be pretty humble meals you can whip together pretty quickly. So I hope you guys enjoyed the recipes I shared with you this week. I would love to know from you though, what are your quick, easy, from scratch wins? I am always looking to add more in the rotation. So go ahead and leave a comment below, and I would love it if you went ahead and hit that subscribe button because it helps us so much. But I cannot wait to hang out with you guys next week. So I'll talk to you soon.